Hello, how are you? So, in preparation for your training program in France, I have read the business case that you sent me from the Harvard Business Review. I understand that this case is going to be part of the content that your trainer will be going over in this management training program. And I found it to be very interesting. So what I did is that I read the case and I am going to highlight in a series of videos what are the key concepts that you are going to be exposed to in the training and from the case, so you have a broader understanding of what is it that we're doing here and what are the major topics that your instructor is going to cover once you're there in the training program. So you're already familiar with the case. It's a case from Harvard Business Review and it's about leadership. And not just the traditional kind of leadership. What the case talks about is that you as a manager have to be aware of all the dynamics, all the mechanics of what it is to be a successful manager. So I found it to be very interesting. So here's the actual case. I prepared for you this summary of the key concepts and terms and how they interact, so that when you're on the plane or when you are at the hotel, you can watch this video and review the most important concepts and get familiar with the pronunciation, the terms, how to explain these complex issues, and hopefully you will be in much better shape for your training program in France. All right? So the first thing I want to say is that the article makes it very clear that there are two major kinds of competencies. A competency is a set of skills. It's a combination of behaviors, values, communication skills, even the psychology that involves a certain topic. And it makes it clear that everything starts out from the inside. You as a person, who are you as a person first? And because only if you are a successful person in the inside, then you will be able to lead others. So the foundation of what is it to be a successful manager has to do with your inner psychology, the mechanics of your own thinking and your own mindset, and how these relate to the actual organizational culture of the company. So the first concept to make it clear here is self-awareness. So you need to understand who are you as a person first. You need to have a purpose in life. You need to have an excellent idea of what is it that you're going to be involved in. And for that, you need to be aware of your own character, your motives, and your desire. You have to be very enthusiastic about this. So self-awareness is the most important part, because you need to believe that you have a role to play in the success of your organization. The second point they make clear here is your self-regulation. That means that you basically act smart. You will control your behavior even if you don't feel like saying something, or maybe you do want to participate and share your ideas. That might not be the right time to do that. So to be able to control your behavior and your emotions and your thought, it's a very difficult thing to do. But you need to be aware that this is important because it's the foundation for the next step, that is when you actually adopt a specific leadership style depending on the situation. So self-awareness goes first, and the second one is your self-regulation. It has to do with your inner thoughts, controlling your behavior and emotions. So I made it clear here in this slide, which I want you to refer to before the training. What do I mean by self-awareness, or what does the article says about self-awareness and self-regulation? Another key aspect is motivation. It's very self-explanatory. Motivation is the driver, the reason for people's actions. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why do you want to bring about change to your organization and achieve outstanding results? And it talks about motivation from the inside. Are you a self-motivated individual? Do you have the driver to do things like this to bring about organizational change? So you need to basically analyze this from the inner perspective. Are you lacking motivation? If you are, why are you lacking motivation? So make sure motivation is at a high level here, because otherwise it won't work, right? And the other aspect related to emotional competencies, because as I said before, this has to do with your inner psychology. Who are you as a person in the inside? Is your ability to be an empathic manager. It has to do with the empathy, emotional competency. And being empathic or having empathy means that you have this capacity to understand how people around you feel. See, you do care about what other people think. Okay, so this first section is the foundation. The foundation, and it has to do with who are you as an individual and your internal emotional competencies. This is the first step. Now, the article makes it clear that as this being the foundation, so the next step will be to develop leadership styles based on these emotional competencies that you already have installed, right? And the reason why I have two groups here and I have the plus sign is that the article says that you need to have a combination of emotional competencies and a leadership style. And this combination, when you connect one to the other, has to be such combination only works in a certain situation. So the real challenge here is to be able as a manager to have a critical eye or a trained eye as to what approach or how are you going to approach a situation from a management perspective, right? So any combination of emotional competencies with leadership style will be feasible or will be perfect for a specific kind of situation. And this is something that takes time to develop and something that every manager should be aware of, because sometimes we become managers just because we have years of experience in a specific area within the company. But then we need to be aware of these things so that we can become better managers in the future. Okay, so we already talked about the emotional competencies and the foundation and the inner psychology, what it involves about, what are these competencies, these skills, this set of values, skills, and abilities that you have from the emotional perspective, right? Now, the next point is going to be what leadership style will you adopt? Now, I want to make it clear that some people think that you have only one management style, and that's going to be your only one management style for all the situations. And it is not exactly the case. Managers wear different hats depending on the situation they are in. And so these are the most common management styles. The coercive style means the do as I say kind of mindset. A coercive style tends to be a very authoritarian kind of manager, right? You do as I said, period. I'm not allowing for any comments on the strategies that we will implement. I'm not considering any input from any of my direct reports. So just do as I said. Very commanding, right? That's one style of management. Again, I'm not saying that this is good or bad. What I'm saying is that there has to be a combination of emotional competencies combined with any of these management styles that will fit a specific context or situation that the manager is facing, right? Okay, the next one is authoritative. Can you repeat after me? Authoritative. Authoritative. And the authoritative manager is not as commanding as the coercive manager, but at the same time, this style tells the direct reports or the people in the team what to do. The manager, when the manager has an authoritative style, basically he's not involved in the means that the direct reports are involved in order to achieve the results, but it is much more involved in setting goals. So the leader sets goals and gives freedom to choose the means that the team members will actually choose to achieve the objectives, right? So the coercive is much more authoritarian than the authoritative style, right? The next management style that we refer to here is the affiliative management style. Very common nowadays, especially dealing with millennials and people who have new mindsets about management. They use the affiliative style in which they are very much focused on people. They focus on the development of people, how people are feeling within the workplace. Do they like their jobs? And if they don't, what can the company do to improve these working conditions, right? People comes first, is the affiliative style, right? The next style is the pace setting style, in which the manager models behaviors and has very demanding sets of behaviors that are required from team members. So in the pace setting stage or leadership style here, the manager models the behavior and is demanding excellence at all times, right? So this is the kind of manager that always acts out as he models all the behaviors and all the standards that need to be installed within the team, so that every team member would actually emulate these behaviors, right? That's another way to put it, emulating the behaviors of the manager. And the last but not least important is the new trend, but coaching. Coaching, very important term nowadays. And it deals with the ability of a manager of bringing out the best out of every team member. What the manager does here is that it serves as a person that will accelerate the achievement of organizational goals without telling team members what exactly they should be doing. Now, this is very difficult because it's like in the other side of the spectrum from a coercive manager. Whereas the coercive manager tells people what to do, the coaching style manager always only makes sure that the goals are set and follows through the process, allowing for every team member to have the freedom to basically achieve the results in the way every one of them wants. All right. So coaching means accelerating the achievement of goals through powerful conversations. Very different from the older versions of management, in which management was much more authoritative styles, right? Okay, why is all this important? Because the combination of emotional competencies and leadership styles bring about results. So as it says here, you add emotional competencies to a specific leadership style, you have your own combination here depending on the situation, and you will for sure get results. Now, getting results in management has to do with creating an organizational culture that is based on excellence. And if we can have managers that are successful at achieving goals, these will impact the bottom line of the company significantly. Recent studies show that about a third of financial performance is due to excellent management. So it's not just about psychology or just the awareness of these things. Implementing these strategies has a direct effect on profitability and business goals. Keep that in mind here. Okay, so what style to use? Okay, so the article describes that every manager should have a trained eye for identifying specific situations in which the perfect combination of emotional competencies and leadership style is used in specific situations. So the research suggests that the most effective executives use a collection of distinct leadership styles. Each of these styles in the right measure at the right time. That is the real challenge. The real challenge is to do this the appropriate way. The right combination at the right time at the right measure. So it's important to understand that the best leaders do not have one specific style of leadership, but a combination of emotional competencies and leadership styles. The best managers are skilled at most of this, and they can do excellent combinations, and they have the trained eye for identifying the perfect situation. Okay, if you are a manager and you're failing to know this or to adopt the right strategy, this can influence financial results. It's all about creating an organizational climate that is results-oriented and successful. And management and the combination of these competencies and these emotional competencies and leadership style is something that every manager should be aware of so that you know what hat to wear. We don't have one particular style. We wear different hats depending on the situation. Okay, so as I said before, this is a very complex article. There's a lot of reading involved here to understand most of the concepts. And what I'm doing with this video is that I'm giving you this material so that you can prepare for your training program effectively. So your job is listen, watch my video, look at the PowerPoint slides here, get familiar with what do I mean by emotional competencies, what do I mean with leadership styles, identify the most important leadership styles here, practice your pronunciation, right? And as you watch this video, you will start imitating the way I pronounce some of these words and what's involved in each of these concepts. I wish you good luck in your training program. I will be sending some more videos so that you have a broader understanding and listening practice about all these topics, okay? Good luck. See you around.